Okay, YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. And it's been a very long time since I've posted, if you guys consider 3 or 4 weeks a long time. But lately I've just been trying to focus on my actual job as well as manage my physical health and just make those two things a priority. But that has meant that I've had to put YouTube on the back burner for a bit, so I'm back with another video, and this video is inspired by Watches of Espionage's latest dispatch on the Panerai Navy SEALs collection, and I'm going to link to his dispatch down below because I think it's a really good read, and he goes into much better detail about it than I can in this video. But without further ado, let's begin. The Panerai Navy SEAL Collection. I have a lot of feelings about this, but I don't like this collection at all, and it's mainly due to the aesthetics of this entire collection of watches. At best, they are okay looking, and they they somewhat meld into the rest of Panerai's offerings in the catalog, and then at worst, certain models are just extremely ugly. Okay, Editing Morgan here. I just wanted to point out something that was brought to my attention, and I found it to be a really good analogy. These watches remind me of those like supermoto t-shirts that you see in the Navy Exchange that have those like super weird, super wacky, ostentatious designs that are like calling too much attention to themselves and are like super self-aggrandizing, and you can select your job or your rate, and it's like the most obnoxious thing you could possibly wear. So that's what these watches remind me of, at least in terms of the design and the aesthetic of it. That's the best way that I can put it. Anyway, back to the video. And I'll throw up a couple pictures to show why I think that way. But when you look at many of these watches, and I want to draw attention specifically to the Submersible Chronograph Navy SEALs Experience Edition, reference number PAM 01402. This watch there's nothing genuinely tactical about it, and it just, in my opinion, it just seems very tactical. And for anybody that doesn't know what that expression means, it's not a compliment. It doesn't look like any actual Navy SEAL had any sort of involvement in making this watch. It's way too big. It's 47 millimeters. It's really gaudy. It's got this like really strange over-the-top yellow chapter ring on it that says time on target, and I believe that is supposed to be like a countdown timer of sorts, and the yellow accents on it matched up with the green, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it look more militaristic and more tactical, but it doesn't really hit the mark, in my opinion, and it just looks ostentatious. That's all I can really say about that. But honestly, this whole collection of watches, right, reminds me of the one time that 50 Cent dressed up in a Marine uniform and showed up to some sort of event looking like that with a bunch of medals on his chest that were out of order and his collar undone. It doesn't work, and it reduces a very, very powerful symbol down to a mere fashion statement. And I do want to acknowledge as well that Panerai had to seek permission from Naval Special Warfare to use the trident on the caseback and to use the name Navy SEALs on the dial. So it is likely that certain SEALs knew of this design, and that is something to keep in mind. But I think that the use of these emblems on both the dial and case back is just going a bit too far. The bottom line is that these watches are available to civilians and non-Navy SEALs, and that is a problem to me. Or at least that, in my opinion, I think that's a problem. Because if you do any modicum of research on what it takes to become a Navy SEAL, you'll understand very quickly that earning the Trident and getting through buds is one of the hardest things anybody can ever do in their lifetime. And I am not a SEAL. I don't speak for Naval Special Warfare when I say any of this, so I don't want anyone to take it that way. But I have not earned the Trident, so therefore I don't feel like I have any right to wear one of these watches. Now, a counter argument could be made that in buying one of these watches and in wearing it, if you get asked about it, you could try to explain that you bought it because you support what Navy SEALs do, and you're just showing your support for a very elite community of professionals. But again, you know, that may be a bit of an awkward conversation to have when you have the name Navy SEALs plastered on the dial as well as their Trident on the case back. The Trident is a very, very special symbol to that community, and I'm surprised that Panerai actually got away with putting it on the case back and then marketing it to, you know, the wider civilian audience. So to me, this is very surprising. And here's the thing too: unit watches are a thing, and that's okay. But again, making these available to civilians is just another matter entirely. For example, my commanding officer owns a custom Breitling Emergency that is only available to members of his previous unit. So it's not something that you can just, you know, go out and buy at the Breitling AD or on the gray market. It's just not available, and that's the way it should be. And that's honestly how I believe it should be with these watches. I believe that these watches should only be made available to SEALs. And Watches of Espionage notes that for SEALs who buy these watches, they're available at like a really, really steep discount, which is, I think, a really good thing. Because, you know, frankly, if you're getting military pay is not the best. It doesn't afford you the opportunity to buy a luxury watch every other month. So I think the fact that Panerai is offering these watches at a discount to active duty and former Navy SEALs is it's a great thing, and it is a good way to pay respect to the SEAL community. But to make these available to civilians is my primary gripe with that, and I don't feel like I can overstate that. I as a Marine, and as someone who has never been to BUDS and has never graduated BUDS or SQT or anything like that, I should not be able to walk into a Panerai boutique and buy one of these watches. But the reality is that I can. I can go online right now and like set an appointment to pick one of these up from an authorized dealer. So, yeah, I don't like the way that this was executed. To paraphrase Watches of Espionage, I do see the intention behind it, and I appreciate that a company within the watch industry is paying homage to a entity within the military. I think that's something that's really awesome, and it should happen more often, because Panerai has strong military heritage as well as a lot of other brands in the industry, and I don't think that's something that gets acknowledged enough. But this was not the way to go about it. I think the proper way to go about it again, is to make some of these watches available, or is to make these watches available only to actual members of that community. For example, Sangen Instruments, my favorite micro brand, created a special operations edition of one of their most popular watches, the Atlas. And in order to get that watch, you had to show your graduation certificate. You had to email your graduation certificate from whatever selection course you had been to the company themselves. They would vet you, and then they would process your order. I think that's a great way to do it. Again, Watches of Espionage, going back to him, he notes that there are multiple examples from other companies of custom unit watches, from Omega to Bremont. Bremont does a lot of unit watches. I've met a couple Royal Australian pilots who have their own unit watches as well. Those things are pretty sick. And Tudor as well, among other companies. But there's a lot of companies out there that do very limited runs of custom watches for specific military units that are not available to the public, and I think that's the proper way to execute on a design like this, regardless of how a person like me might feel about the aesthetics of it overall. I think that's the way to go. So, in summary, I hate the way these watches look. I appreciate the intention behind it, but these watches should not be available to civilians, and it's good that Panerai is offering these watches to current and former SEALs at a discount. But at the end of the day, I think this was kind of a flop on Panerai's part, and I would like to see them do better next time, because when one company in the watch industry succeeds, everyone else benefits as a result. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys interacting and engaging with these videos, and I hope you stay tuned for what's to come. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. If you are a current Navy SEAL or a former Navy SEAL and you like these watches, actually I just want to know your thoughts on this collection in general. Let me know what you guys think about this collection and whether or not you like it and whether or not you agree with what I'm saying. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Later.